Hello, friends. My co-hosts and I are going to take a look at Project 2025 and how interest in it compares to Taylor Swift's interest.
If he wins. So yes, he riles up his base online on the internet. We know about that. He talked a lot of trash during his trial where he was became a convicted felon. But in the big interviews and at the debate, he actually plays down the vengeance. But his own aides, Trump administration veterans, are feeding those headlines. So again, I showed you this. Let's put that back up just from before. The Trump conservative allies plotting a, quote, revenge administration. That's their words, not criticism. And now this breaking to the open with the giddiness and maybe an abandon, criminal defendants like coup architect John Eastman, like Bannon and Navarro. He's not out of the woods legally, but he's arguing they got to remake the courts with their own partisan impeachment. MAGA allies talking up how they don't want to necessarily be a full-blown mafia, but if they aren't willing to dish it out, then we can just expect to keep taking it. The kind of violent talk that's in this conversation now. Bush-era figures, once deemed quite extreme, are now admitting they have plans to, if they win in 2025, retaliate against their foes in exactly the same way they say they believe they were retaliated against. If we're not going to become a banana republic, unfortunately, John Yoo admits we're going to have to, quote, use banana republic means. Banana republic means. He admits it. He says it. And the arrogance is being noticed already. Miami Herald, in a key state, with this headline, quote, cocky Trump struts at Doral political rally. It doesn't matter who they nominate. So this is the mood I mentioned for a project that even Trump is walking away from, telling people Project 2025, the agenda by his aides, maybe that's not what he's really going to do. He certainly doesn't want that taking up headlines over Democrats debating Biden. And Project 2025, which you've probably heard about, and we've been covering it, goes well beyond just a random wish list. It is an effort to launder and normalize plans by the people who really want to do all this, and that may be why they're willing to use their extreme rhetoric that goes beyond what Trump wants right now. I showed you the headlines. Trump distancing. Trump saying maybe that's not him, at least when he thinks swing voters are listening. But here is what some of these folks, directly or indirectly tied to these conservative groups and this project, are saying at that National Conservatism Convention in Washington.
And I'm sure some will say now that I am calling America a Christian nation. And so I am.
Well, the progress flag says to me one monstrous thing, that I was a member of a government that presided over the mutilation of our children.
The left's new America will have no written constitution.
Some will say that I am advocating Christian nationalism, and so I do.
Public health agencies declare the coronavirus can't be spread at Black Lives Matter protests.
Let's make the Ten Commandments our symbol.
They're running the country by secret, unelected oligarchy.
Put it up, not just in the schools, just put it up everywhere.
They have donors, staff interests, and secret Democrat Party shadow bosses running the country.
That last speaker served all 4 years in Donald Trump's White House. You may recall many people came and went. Mr. Miller did not. So this is the team. And while, let's be clear and fair, even in these tense times, candidates, of course, speak for themselves and they can distance themselves or try to separate themselves from what some aides or ex-officials say. But that's going to be hard for Trump to do if the attention continues to look at the facts and the evidence, as the giddy wing of MAGA doesn't seem to worry about what their actual candidate wants to do, which is tamp down extreme talk. Again, he knows PR if nothing else. Now, another former Trump official, Tom Homan, is vowing the biggest deportation force America's ever seen, adding in some swearing to make the point. Wait till 2025. Again, 2025 is their rallying call. 2025. This is when they will deliver, they say. Now, again, if you follow the evidence, some of the MAGA talk even outstrips the actual record. People can debate how to do immigration. I've told you before, most presidents in both parties in the last 20 years have struggled with the issue for a lot of complex reasons. And with Biden and Trump, there's not as big a gap as some of the MAGA folks are selling. Biden has actually outpaced Donald Trump's deportation record, returning over 500,000 people to Mexico and other similar situated countries with migration issues, which exceeded Trump's totals by a lot, as a Washington Post account explained. So that's worth noting because people can debate how much deportation to do and whether that's good or bad, but some of what you're hearing is them overselling it. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says, hey, 2025, those guys, maybe I met some of them one time, but that's not my thing, because he has an understanding that this type of extremism and political arrogance will not help him win the election, which some of them now think he's more likely to do. As for the Democrats, they are not just standing by. Vice President Harris, who has been playing a special role lately as people really look at this ticket, seizing on the MAGA manifesto as a warning for voters.
Donald Trump has openly vowed, if reelected, he'll be a dictator on day one. Round up peaceful protesters, terminate the United States Constitution. Trump advisors have created a 900-page blueprint of their agenda for the second term. They call it Project 2025. It includes a plan to cut Social Security. This represents an outright attack on our children, our families, and our future.
Powerful, important warning. Vice President Harris also following one of the James Carville maxims. Don't just tell them what they already know, tell them something new and true that matters. And he knows his way around campaigns. And Democrats have still argued they want to be truthful, while Donald Trump has been caught lying more than any politician alive. That's Washington Post. That's just a fact. Sounds negative, but if it's truth versus lies, well, there's evidence that the Carville maxim that Vice President Harris is pushing is working. I mentioned Donald Trump backing off his own team's work. That's a tell. He doesn't want more exposure on this, doesn't want you to see these headlines or this kind of reporting on air. Second, tell them something new and true. By clear metrics of public interest that we use today, going well beyond random polls, more people are looking into this controversial project than even the woman you see on your screen, who is of documented fascination, not only to Swifties, but to so many people around the world. Shout out to Taylor. I don't mean to bring her too deep into politics, but I'm going to show you something quite relevant. If you compare the interest and the searches and the online traffic queries to Taylor Swift or the NFL, here's a chart showing the main search engine people use, Google searches over just the last month. You will see Taylor and the NFL clicking along with plenty of interest. The blue line is this very recent surge. I'm not talking about just news watchers or political junkies or even just, say, Trump foes. You don't get past those Taylor and NFL levels without a heck of a lot of people searching Project 2025. And again, that's just search data. Some of those people might support it. Some of those people might be Trump supporters. But as Trump walks away from it, a heck of a lot more of them are people who are now reading up about something that Donald Trump himself wants to disown. People are looking into this. And that brings us to a final point here before I bring in our esteemed guest tonight. There are choices in elections. The debate may or may not be a low point for Joe Biden that he rebounds from and wins again, or something that crystallizes questions about his candidacy. Discussing that is part of dealing in the factual universe, not pretending that something was good or bad or indifferent to it because you're worried that it will affect your side or the other side. We deal in facts here. But let's be clear politically, a referendum on Biden's competence is one way to look at the election, and it raises questions. A referendum on what Trump would actually do with his power, which apparently he doesn't want you and other people to do, to be searching 2025 and looking at their actual plans, well, that could lead potentially to a very different outcome in November.
Project 2025. What if I told you that Project 2025 could be as popular as Taylor Swift? In the next few moments, you'll discover how these two seemingly different interests stack up. Taylor Swift's fan base is massive, with millions following her every move. But Project 2025 has been gaining traction fast. While Taylor dominates the music charts, Project 2025 is catching eyes in the tech world. Social media buzz for both is skyrocketing. Swifties trend Taylor's releases, but tech enthusiasts can't stop talking about Project 2025. Even though they're in different spheres, both are creating a lot of noise. Could Project 2025's interest soon rival that of a global pop sensation? Keep watching to find out more about this fascinating comparison. Like what you see? Subscribe for more intriguing comparisons.